It performs malicious activities. It is, of course, done without user's consent, because no user is going to consent to malicious activity, and it has harmful effect. The effects can be very different. The effects can be people trying to steal your information. The effects can be people trying to delete your files or corrupt your files. So the effects can be different, but it is always harmful. So malware is one of the most significant three. It's a program that is inserted into a system, usually covertly, with the intent of compromising the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of victims' data, applications, or operating system, or otherwise annoying or disrupting the victim. Malware exploits system vulnerabilities. So these are some malware statistics. Okay, if you look at this is 1 million new malware every day. So new here means both very new, never before seen malware, are also variants of old malware. Okay, so it's sort of like they added an extra part from the old malware, so now it is A plus, extra bit in there. So 1 million new malware every day can be either very new or updated ones. So 78% of organizations are vulnerable to malware. Yes, because the most simple fact is that security comes with expense, with cost, and some organizations do not want to pay this cost. So there is that. And 90% of the people are unaware. These days, it is better. I would say people are aware of malware, but maybe not all of them. Everybody would know. When you say a virus, everybody would know. Okay? But when you say a worm, not many people would know, for example. So this is a 2018 statistic. Né? So 98% of cyber attacks rely on social engineering. And as you know, social engineerings are attackers' tricks that they exploit the user rather than the system. Because, excuse me, because a system has all of these guardians guarding the system, but people are very, very easy targets. Ransomware attack, for example, rose 350% in 2018. That is a significant number, okay? And in that year, ransomware became a dominant threat vector. With malware, even a small increase in malware can result in millions of dollars of rebuilding the system, and paying fines because you are a company that has a service, and then because of malware, you cannot give your service, and then, you have to pay fines for that, and also reputational damages. So it costs a lot. Institutions like banks, universities, governments must invest in robust security controls, user awareness training, and incident response planning. Why user awareness training? This 98% of the cyber attacks rely on social engineering. When social engineering, it means people. So you do have to train your people. Your security your security staff may have information and knowledge about it, but your support staff may not. So awareness training must be widespread throughout the organization, and it must be repeated. One thing I have seen, my class in Perdana, we had a project, and one of the students, his project was like, he was trying to see what the support staff knows. They found out that they know, for example, they have the knowledge, like, password cannot be kept, under your calculator or whatever on your table. And it must be certain long, certain length, have certain characters, capital letters, small letters, numbers, whatever. But they chose not to do it. So when you give them the exercise, okay, say, do you know? No, they can answer because they know. But knowing doesn't mean application. So that's where there is a gap. Knowing and doing. Not to mention, one of the things that I have found is that they share their login credentials to make things easy. Recently, I had a problem with my VPN, okay? Because now we are working from home, so we have to VPN in for certain services. And I had a problem with that. So I contacted our IT department and well, I think it's their support staff lah. They sent me a message to a group, and then they say, "Can you can you share with us your login and password so that we can help you?" And I'm like, "Excuse me, you are asking me to give me you in this group of a lot of people my login credentials? I mean, that's not secure, is it?" So it's not that they don't know. It's just that it's easier to just give me those things so that I can finish it faster. So these are things, give, must, this is wajib, compulsory, to give everybody in the organization security awareness training. Okay, let's look at malware types. So these are some malware types, okay? And if you notice in the e-learning, I have assigned you the second assignment, okay? And I have assigned everybody a specific malware. I assigned it randomly. So I do not know who get what. I just take the numbers and, randomly assign. So these are some. Some we are going to look at today. Some we're not because there is a lot. So let's continue. Malware classification. It depends on how it propagates, how it moves. Okay, they can propagate locally like viruses or through the networks like worms and bots. What are the actions of the payload? Okay, what is the lethal thing that they are carrying? Is it to provide or make corruption of your files, your directories, your system, or is it to rob or take the services or data or information? And then of course there is a blended malware where it sort of like has both of the propagation mechanism and the actions that it does is very ranged. Okay, actually, I have this, but since I've already explained it, you can read this later. Okay, so let's look at this. So blended malware, different propagation mechanism. A single thread might act like a Trojan to trick you into downloading it, but once inside, it behaves like a worm. So that is what it means by it has different propagation mechanism. A range of actions, it just doesn't do one thing, it might do two things. It might log your keystroke because they want your credentials, whatever, and they can also encrypt your drive. In the nature of a malware code, there is the ones that needs a host. These are parasitic codes. Malware that cannot exist by itself. It must hijack or attach itself to a legitimate file or system process to execute. For viruses, macros, these are the ones, examples of parasitic code. Then there are those who are independent, who do not need a host. They are self-contained programs. They are fully functional standalone software applications that they do not need a host. Worms, Trojans, bot, and spam programs are an example of independent, self-contained malwares. Self-replicate, the specific ability of a program to make copies of itself to keep the infection alive and expanding. So viruses and worms. So I put in a little table here to sort of like show you between the parasitic virus and self-contained virus. Okay. So parasitic and self-contained. Propagation is usually local, it needs human action, and it injects its code into an existing legitimate program. How it executes is waits until a human being double clicks the infected host. Self-contained program usually propagate through network because they are automatic or autonomous, so they can actually propagate itself. And exists as an entire separate file on the disk, and it triggers itself by exploiting an unpatched open port to a network. So it doesn't need a host, it can do everything by itself. Attack kits, okay. In the early days of coding, okay, there is not a lot of, like today, even primary school kids are coding because there is a lot of resources online. But in the early days, coding is hard, okay? These days, coding is easier because it has been made simpler. That date, even if you want to make one web page, it takes a lot of like coding the paragraph, close paragraph, whatever it is. So you have to be highly skilled programmer. But there is something called an attack kits or exploit kits or crimeware tools, whatever the name is, that help you do these things without the highly skilled knowledge. Okay, so because of the attack kits, novices can customize malware. So they can use that. They don't have to have a lot of high level knowledge. And then some of these kits can also let you change something. So because of this, you have malware variants coming out and also new malware. So as I said, crimeware is software designed specifically for committing crime. So even beginners can use these kits to exploit vulnerable system. So these kits lowers the skill barrier. Attack kits allow criminals to modify existing malware, and this create new variants that evade antivirus detection. Okay, because when you change the variant, you add a little thing, the signature of the malware changes. So if your detection uses a signature base, then they cannot detect or they do not know the new signature of this variant of the old malware. Okay, so kits are frequently updated with fresh exploits. So they are up to date. So you don't really use the same old thing that has been patched, now cannot use, they refresh that. So this ensures attackers can target the latest vulnerabilities in operating system, browsers, or application. So these are some toolkit examples. Like Zeus, it steals banking credentials via key logging and phone grabbing. So Zeus is a kit that you can get or you can buy. Okay, so these kits are bought and sold on the dark web forums, just like legitimate enterprise software. So Angler, advanced kit using zero-day exploit, delivered ransomware and Trojans. Black Hole, a popular kit that spread malware through compromised websites. So there are many kits. These are only some of the examples. So cyber attacks don't come from the same sources, okay? Sources can be individual, whose motivation is usually curiosity. Morning, Aswini. Curiosity, revenge, or profit. This is their motivation. Individual, their motivation is this. Example is defacing a website. You know, I don't like you, or I don't like your organization, so I am defacing the website, for example. The source that can also be organized. Organized means this is a group. They have organization, okay? And this is usually the motivation is politics, crime, or extortion. Ransomware campaigns, for example. Okay, this is 400 extortion now. So I'm going to lock your system, pay me, and I will unlock it. If not, bye-bye to your system, because I am the only one who knows the key to unlock the system. Commercialization. Okay, here is basically, as it says here, malware as a service. All right. So the motivation here is profit. So they provide services for profit. Okay, stealing stolen credit cards, giving you like a, you know how they collect all the credit card information, username and password, users for you to use for spamware, whatever. So it is, the motivation is profit. So malware has three parts: infection mechanism, trigger, and payload. So infection mechanism is how it spreads. This is the infection vector. So email attachments, that's one way. Malicious link, that's another way. USB drives, for example. Okay, I personally do not accept students who bring me USB drive and say, oh, my file is in here. Nuh-uh, I don't open them. Okay, because primarily 10 years ago, yeah, roughly that, I had a student who loves viruses, and he has what I call a virus farm. He collects viruses. So I am thinking in my head, let's say this student is called A, other student bring their files or whatever and USB into his machine, which has a virus farm, and then they're going to come and give me the USB drive. I don't open any USB drive except my own. See, because it is an infection vector. The trigger is what activates it. Okay, defines on the condition. It could be a specific date. It could be you clicking on the file. It could be a system startup. When you start your system, the virus also starts. Okay, the malware also starts. Payload is what it carries, what it does, the actual malicious action. It can be stealing data. It could be logging your keystrokes. It could be deleting your files or showing you ads or hiding system activity. Anything depends on what it is made for. So here I made a little table for all the different malware types, the infection mechanism, okay, the trigger, what triggers the malware, and also what it carries. For example, a virus infection mechanism is attaches to files and programs. Okay, a trigger is when infected file runs, meaning you run it, you activate it. Okay, you click on it, and payload, it corrupts or deletes data. Of course, it goes more than this though. All right, viruses are now very colorful. They can do a lot of things. Keylogger, infection mechanism installed via an exploit or Trojan. Keyloggers can also be a device, okay? Trigger on system startup, records keystroke, your password, your credit card numbers and information, and so on. Adware, it is installed with software. You download something, it comes with adware. So when you're browsing or using your app, and then it displays unwanted ads. Okay? So these are some. Later you can read this. So there are 4 common varieties of malware. I showed you like a long list just now, right? But we are going to look at these 6. Virus, everybody know what's a virus, okay? Malicious software attached to, that sentence is wrong. But basically, viruses are something that attaches to your file, attaches to your system, okay? And then you trigger it and it opens and it does a lot of things. And viruses are generally transmitted through file downloads, infected hard drives or flash drives, and email attachments. So viruses will infect other program, transform itself, encrypt itself, alters data, corrupt files, and self-replication. So basically, this is its modus operandi. It doesn't sit quietly, only do one thing. It can also infect other programs. It can transform itself. This is like what you call metamorphic virus, where it comes in shaped like a square, and then it changes into a triangle, and then it changes. So it changes itself as it infects other programs, making detection hard. Okay? So 3 parts: infection mechanism, how it infects; trigger, how we start it; payload, what is that virus supposed to do. Now, just now I explained these 3. It's exactly the same, but it is in the virus. Level file.exe. So it will have an instruction pointer. This instruction pointer will point to the beginning of the file. It will tell the operating system starting pointer. So it will tell you the start of the program and the end of the program. Okay. Now, with viruses, after they've done their job, what they do is they inject its own code. Okay, it will change the instruction pointer. So rather than go to the start of the program, like Notepad.exe just now, it will point to the start of the virus. So the virus does the job, and then it can send it back to the program, or it just stops. So you do not know what is happening. You open your notepad. Sometimes, I do not know whether you realize this, when you open a notepad and then suddenly it doesn't work, and then you click on it again and then it works. So sometimes you have to, be careful about that. Make sure you have a good antivirus. So these are some types of computer virus. I group them. Okay, there are location-based viruses like the system or boot sector viruses. These viruses infect the master boot record. So virus runs before the operating system loads. Okay. Master boot record is basically the one that is being read first, and then it will go and find where to start the operating system. So if it infects that, it will run before the operating system. Then there is the file viruses, attach themselves to executable file, and a multi-part-type viruses, which combine both, meaning they infect both boot sectors and also files. Then there are the script and the macro viruses. Macro viruses are written in macro languages like Visual Basic for Word and Excel, and it is spread through documents. Then there is cluster viruses, a type of computer virus that infects the system in a sneaky way by modifying directory table entries rather than directly attaching itself to files. Okay, so they change the directory files. Then there are viruses who have stealth and they mutate. So stealth means, you don't see them. So they could have the stealth and tunneling viruses. It hides from antivirus by intercepting system calls. Encrypted viruses, it uses simple encryption to disguise code. And they can change, okay? Polymorphic viruses change the structure each time they spread, but keep the same function. Just now I said, it starts with a square, and then it become a triangle, and then a star. So it changes the structure, but what it does inside is still the same. Metamorphic viruses rewrite themselves completely with each function, changing both structure and behavior. This is scary viruses. Then there are special behavior viruses. Spare infector virus. It infects only under specific conditions, like a certain file range. Why they create this? They have a hobby that I do not know, but there are some special viruses. Companion or camouflage viruses, it creates a companion file that runs instead of the original. Then there's shell virus that wrap around the program code. File extension viruses, it changes the file extensions to trick the users. You save the file as .ppt, suddenly it becomes a .txt, things like that. Intrusive viruses overwrite parts of the host code with viral code. Transient viruses run only while the effective program is active. And terminate and stay resident virus stay permanently in memory, continuing to infect during the session. So there are many types. So macroviruses, why are macroviruses dangerous? One, they are platform independent, meaning they don't rely on operating system executables. They exploit applications like Word, Excel, PDF readers. When I was a student, long time ago, when we were doing our final year project, at the time, computers were hard to come by. These days, a 5,000 ringgit PC would give you quite an excellent one. But at the time, a basic one running on a 4 megabyte RAM, that one cost you about 5,000 ringgit. Okay, so not many people have it. So we share things. And then there were viruses that says, are you an FSKSM student? So it would say, it comes out this macrovirus every time we try to print our thesis. Remember, we don't have printers. We need to go to the lab to print it. And then, of course, everybody was sharing. And then it comes out, are you an FSKSM student? It doesn't matter, you click yes or you click no, it will be there. It's annoying, okay? So it's there. It targets documents, not programs, and it's easily spread. People naturally exchange documents. Okay, you email them, it's USB, there's cloud, and bypass access control. Macros can run automatically when documents happen. So if you notice certain programs in Excel, when you run it, it says there are macros. Do you want to activate the macros? For example, they ask you that. Easy to write or modify, written in simple scripting language. Even non-expert attackers can create or tweak them. As I said, from my experience before, it doesn't do anything except, give you that message that you cannot print. It keep asking, are you an FSK? It's not really doing anything, but it is really annoying, right? So people can do that. So the hosts for macro devices are the Word, Excel, PDF files. Okay, I just read here lah. Okay, target is executable files. Okay, like Word, Excel, PDF. Language is the machine code like VBA, JavaScript. It's spread via programs like shared documents, and detection difficulty is moderate. It is high because documents look harmless, so we don't really run that. So it can do all these functions now. It can check the system state, copy or spread the other other files. It can hide from detection. It can propagate, and it can harm. Okay, it can delete, steal, or corrupt data. So this is an example of a microvirus, and then it shows how it manipulates. Okay, I put it down step by step so that it's easier for you to follow. Right? So here, disable micro menu. So it disables security. Okay. So this one is running when you open the document. And then you disable the security. Okay. And then it spreads locally. If opened from a user document, see, if called from a user document, it copies itself into the normal template file. If it is copied from a macro code, then it will copy itself in every file that is being opened. So basically, in any which way, it will subsequently infect all the documents. And then it spreads via email. Okay, here it says that if Melissa is not present in the registry, then you look up the Outlook email client. And the first 50 there, you send this file. Send email to that address with currently infected document attached to it. Okay, and it leaves a marker, creates a registry called Melissa. There you go. And then the minute of the hour equals the day of the month, insert text into document being opened. So, 25th minute of the 20, okay. It did, in fact, at the 25th minute, for example, okay. So it's 1:25 and it is 25 December. So it will put the text in the document. This is how macrovirus does it work. Okay, that was virus. Now worms. Worms are malicious programs that replicate, execute, spread across the network independently. Okay, they don't really do anything bad like delete your files or anything, but what they do is they consume the resources. So, but it can actually damage the file depending on the payload, but usually it's not. Okay. Attackers use worm payload to install backdoors in infected computers, which turns them into zombies and creates botnet. So you want to create a group of zombies and then you use a worm. How does worm spread to remote system? Through electronic mail, file sharing, remote execution. The way would be about the same with every malware. Okay. So remote login capability. So because it can carry itself, self-replicate and transport itself. So if it has a way, a door through remote login or whatever it is, it will go through that. So target discovery. How does a worm target? How does a worm discover the target? Sorry. So one, it goes through random access scanning. Okay. The attacker picks random IP address across the internet. This is simple but inefficient. Many scans hit unused or protected addresses. Another way is a hit list. You have a list of IP addresses that you want to attack. So this is more faster and more effective than random scanning. Topological scanning is where the malware uses information from the infected host to find new targets. So it finds like, who are the neighbors, for example, okay? So worm that read email address books or cache DNS entries. Then there is the local subnet scanning. The attacker scans the local network segment with the same subnet, because if they are in the same subnet, usually they have the same vulnerability. So it uses that. So for the random scanning method, the efficiency is low. Okay, this is typically used for broad internet probing to see what is out there. Hitless, the efficiency is high because it is targeted. Topological, medium high, this helps with worm propagation. And local subnet, the efficiency is high and it can spread within the internal network. Now, this is a worm propagation model. It starts with a slow start phase. Okay, slow start, see? The number of hosts not infected is very high in the beginning. The number of hosts infected is very low in the beginning. So it's a very slow start. Then within the slow start phase, the worm spread slowly. So the ones that is infected, it spreads slowly. Okay. And then it becomes fast spread. Now, if there is only one machine that has a worm, it will spread slowly. So let's say this one machine spread to 2 machines, and those 2 machines spread to another 2 machines, and then those 8 machines now 16, 42, So now it is fastly spreading. But then it will become slow finish. Why slow finish? Because within a group, there might be like, okay, example, let's say within the group, there is 100 devices, right? So at the beginning, 1 is infected, and then it starts infecting 2, and then 4, and 8, and 16, and And then after a while, host infected are also going to slow finish because they don't have enough anymore. Look at the fractions of hosts not infected. So that's why they call a slow finish phase. Okay, the Morris worm is a very popular worm. Okay, it is released by Robert Morris in 1988. Designed to spread on Unix system. The first task was to discover the host connected to the worm-infected host. For each discovered host, the worm tried a number of methods for gaining access. It attempted to log on the remote host as a legitimate user using password cracking programs, use bugs and vulnerabilities. If any of these attacks succeeded, the worm achieved communication with the operating system command interpreter, meaning from one machine, it goes and tries to get into the other machine. Okay, it tries different ways. It tries password cracking, take a look at the vulnerabilities, and then whatever. Even try to look like a legitimate user with username and password if they have it. So then it will go. And once it gets in there, it has achieved communication with the OS of that machine. So now you can transfer whatever you want to transfer and then from there, you can replicate yourself and go to other machines. So these are some worm examples. Melissa is very popular before. Okay, it is email propagation, where it is an attachment in the email. And 3 days it took for Melissa to infect over 100,000 computers. The code red worm exploits the security hole in the Microsoft Internet Information Server. It infects 360,000 servers in 14 hours. See, it's very fast. SQL Slammer worm exploited a buffer overflow vulnerability in Microsoft SQL Server, infecting 90% of vulnerable hosts in the internet within 10 minutes. So these are some of the different types. So worm takes now here. Worm has multi-platform. It can infect different operating systems. It is not only set to Windows, only Linux, only a Mac OS, depends on what, but they can go everywhere. Okay, they are written to exploit vulnerabilities across platforms, not just one. Multi-exploit. A single worm may use several different vulnerabilities to spread. It can exploit the browser flaws. It can exploit the email clients. So it is multi-exploit, not just one, okay? Ultra fast spreading. As you've seen just now, 10 minutes, 100,000, 3 days. I don't know, 14, I forgot. So it spreads really fast, okay? Worm can propagate extremely quickly. Very famous case, okay? SQL Slammer infected most vulnerable servers worldwide in under 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Polymorphic, worm changes its code structure each time it spreads. Same function, different appearance. So it is harder for a signature-based antivirus to detect it. It is also can be metamorphic, okay, where it rewrites itself and it uses different transport vehicles, meaning different carriers. Worms can be carried through email or instant messaging, file sharing, and so on. And worms may use vulnerabilities that are unknown to vendors and security teams. This makes them especially dangerous because no patch or defense exists yet. Mobile code, okay, in your mobile phone is not free from this as well. There are malicious code that is used in phones. Okay, so in mobile code, there are cross-site scripting, interactive and dynamic websites, and so on. For example, mobile phone worms, the target is the smartphone. Its propagation is through Bluetooth wireless connection, multimedia messaging services, through the internet, through email, through malicious apps. Okay, so one example is the Palm Warrior worm, where it copies itself to the removable memory card and inserts itself into the program installation files on the phone. It can steal private data, disable phone functions, force device to consume paid services, you know, send SMS where you have to pay for the SMSs or call systems and so on. So there are worms in mobile phones as well. Now, these are some on the client side vulnerabilities. Drive-by download, watering holes. Okay. Drive-by download exploit browser and plugin flaws. It downloads without user consent or knowledge just by visiting a compromised site. So you open a web page and suddenly a Trojan installed itself in the background. You don't know. So this is what you call drive-by download. So they look at kind of like drive-by shooting, okay, in US especially. They have drive-by shooting when they are driving in the car and you are walking on the side, and then they drive by, they shoot, pop, pop, and then they go. There is no altercation, no shouting, no fisting each other in the face or whatever, but it just happens. So they take that kind of word and then they use as drive-by download here, meaning you do not know that it is going to happen. Okay, you just open a website and then suddenly you get a malware. Watering hole attack is a targeted form of drive-by download. Drive-by means anything, but targeted means you compromise a website that a lot of people go to. For example, if I attack the e-learning service for space, that's a watering hole attack, meaning every student that use it, every lecturer that use it, then they would get infected. Malvertising, where attackers place malicious ads on legitimate websites. The website, because some people, they want to have monetary funds from their websites, okay? So they allow ads, and sometimes they don't have control on the ads that there are there. So there is a possibility that an attacker can place a malicious ad on a legitimate website. So is the site hacked? No, this is legitimate. Legitimate in the way that we buy advertisement in a newspaper. Okay, it is legitimate, but the advertisement is malicious. For example, it's like that. Clickjacking, user interface attack, tricks the users into clicking something different from what they think. These days, there are a lot of this, right? When they say, oh, if you click this and then it comes out and then you need to click another one and then suddenly something else comes out. So there is a lot of this these days because I think there are kids for doing that. So There you go. How is worms different from viruses? Okay, viruses inserts itself into files and executable. Worms replicates independently, no host needed. How does it spread? Viruses requires infected file to be copied or shared. Worms exploit vulnerabilities, spread through networks automatically. Viruses may delete files, alter files, move files. Worms usually don't modify files, but consume CPU and memory, consume resources. Viruses alters the system behavior without user consent. Worm overloads the system by consuming bandwidth and resources. So their target is a bit different. Propagation speed, viruses are slower because it depends on the user actions. Worms are much faster because they can do this independently and they can spread explosively, meaning really fast, as we have seen, like the worms example just now. Removable difficulty. Viruses are harder to remove because they are deeply embedded in files, and worms are easier to remove compared to viruses. Spread. Viruses use a shared and infected USB drive, for example, or email attachment, for example. Worms, it can look up the Outlook book, address book to find the list of people and then send it to them. Trojan horse, the next malware. Okay. We all know what Trojan horse is. Okay, it's a program downloaded and installed on the computer that appears harmless, but is in fact malicious. Typically, the Trojan horse is hidden in an innocent-looking email attachment or free downloads. One thing I have always said to the students in my Pradana, because they are younger and they are not mature enough, you guys are more mature. So they like to download, like for example, APKs from websites rather than from, Google Play Store, for example. In Google Play Store, these are checked to ensure that there is no malware in them. In the websites, they are, there is no such thing as a free lunch lah, senang cerita. When you download freely from there, games or whatever, it comes with Trojan horses. Nothing is free anymore. There must be something in there. So once it is downloaded, you didn't download them. You downloaded the APK, you downloaded the application, you downloaded the file. It comes with it. And then it starts doing its whatever inside your PC. So, okay, I downloaded the Trojan. I didn't know. It is now in my PC. What does it do? Anything. Anything that the designer made it to be. It could delete or replace operating system. It could record screenshots, key logging, and send it to the master. It could download spyware, adware, or malicious files. It could create backdoors for remote access. It can do anything that it is created for. Okay? Malicious bots. Okay, now we're talking about robots. Bots or software robot is an automated software that behaves intelligently. For example, web crawlers. When it was first created, web crawlers, okay, or they were called spiders before, where they go through the internet and then they find information and give to you. Okay. Earlier on, maybe 10, 15 years ago, we had project where students created web crawlers or spiders to find or compare prices of information. Okay, now when you go to website like iPrice, it can, you want to look at prices of Microsoft, like microwave ovens, and then they can find, oh, in Shopee, this is this much, in what's the other one? Lazada is this much, or in Hitine is this much, and then they can compare price. Oh, in this shop, what's the shop that sells electrical? Heng Seng, Kek Seng. I forgot the name of that right now. But basically, it goes through the website of those things and then gets you the information, which is good. But it can also, as anything that is done in software, be used for bad things as well. So bots can also be used by attackers called bot master as a remote attack tool. The most dangerous bots are those that covertly install themselves on users' computers for malicious purposes. So a bot is one. A botnet is a network of bots. Okay. So a botnet refers to a group of compromised systems running a bot for purposes of launching a coordinated DDoS attack, distributed denial of service attack. So botnets serve various purposes, including DDoS attacks, creation or misuse of SMTP, mail relays for spam, marketing fraud, theft. You get all of these calls these days, robocall, they call it, and then suddenly they say that, I am from the whatever, so on, or you get emails, or there's a lot of things, okay? So there are many, many bots, and then the master can ask them to do whatever they want, whatever he wants. So bots can send emails, retrieve web pages, change computer setting, and much more. So these are some of the uses of bots, and none of them are good. Okay, none of them are good. Ransomware. Okay, this is popular. Everybody knows what it is. Ransomware attempts to extort money from a computer user by infecting and taking control of the victim's machine or the files or documents stored in it. Okay. Now the thing about ransomware, it can encrypt one file or a folder or the whole machine. Okay, depending on whatever it is designed to do now. Typically, the ransomware will either lock the computer to prevent normal usage, encrypt the document and files to prevent access to the safe data. So ransomware will generate a pop-up window or email warning, what looks like official authority. So it is usually installed when you open a malicious email attachment or click on a malicious link in an email, on an instant message, on a social network site. Okay? Ransomware can even be installed when you visit malicious website. So what are the types of ransomware? There is the encryption ransomware, where it targets the files and it encrypts data and then demands payment. A key payment here because it encrypts data into like a private key, okay, and then a public key, and then they ask you to pay, and then they'll give you a key to unlock it. Okay, lock screen ransomware. This is targeting the system. It blocks screen and prevents its usage. And then there is the MBR ransomware, where it targets the boot sector while it stops the OS from loading at all. Okay, there you go. Basic operation. So the victims acquire ransomware from email, exploits, worm, whatever. And then the ransomware malware contacts the command and control center and downloads public key. Data is encrypted and a ransom note provides ransom fee. After ransom is paid, the attacker sends private key to decrypt the data. So this is an example of a message. So all personal files are encrypted. So you don't see anything else. You cannot move from here. Okay, meaning you cannot open the file. So these are the things that you have to do. Okay, advanced persistent threat. Okay, this is of, you can say, more intelligent than the normal malware. Okay, it is more intelligent than the normal malware. APT differs from other types of attack by their careful target selection and persistent, often stealthy intrusion efforts over extended periods. So they don't just, viruses, you send the virus out, okay, it infects this machine, and then they send something, and then it infects that machine, and then that's how it goes. APT is not. It is a very calculated one. They plan, they find specific way to get to you. So this is the 7 phases of APT. Okay? Okay. We will look at that in a little bit. So APTs are advanced. It is used by attackers of a wide variety of intrusion technologies and malware, including the development of custom malware, if required. Persistent, determined application of the attacks over an extended period against the chosen target. To the selected target as well, organized, capable, and well-funded attacks. So that's APT. So the 7 phases of an APT. 1, surveillance. Surveillance is basically reconnaissance. It studies the targets, gather information on systems, on employees, on vulnerabilities, And then it uses this to get to this or do something to this target. Then Carrot is delivering the weapon. How are you going to deliver it? Via email attachments or malicious links or infected USBs. There was once a case, but it was not APT, but it can fall under APT. This guy, he went into an office, he didn't do anything except he put a USB on one of the tables. So they were sitting like in cubicles, and he put a USB on the table. He didn't take anything, he didn't do anything, he didn't touch anything. He just went there, put the USB, and then he just goes. So when you are working in a cubicle, a lot of you don't really know what is happening around so much. So this guy comes back to his cubicle. He sees that, oh, there's a USB through. Why is that? When you're in an office, your mind doesn't think of, oh, there's somebody bad giving me a USB, right? So you see that he plugged in the USB into his machine, started infecting everybody. Okay, started into, and then everybody used the same file. So it started 1 machine, 2 machines, 10 machines, okay, all that. So it's very targeted, isn't it? And the way it delivers it is very, in my opinion, very intelligent, very devious as well, and very simple. Manipulation, exploiting vulnerabilities to gain entry. So if we go back to the example of the guy with the USB, he was exploiting the vulnerability where people do not see what is happening on other people's table. And because there are a lot of people there, they don't pay attention. Okay? They are not aware. Deployment, installing malware or backdoors inside the system. Deployment, put the USB there. So meaning from the infected USB. Control, establishing command and control. So if you have a program in the USB, you can do whatever. You design it to be, go inside there, become the rootkit, get the supervisory, you can do anything. And then action, executing the mission, stealing data or spying or distract, whatever the action is. So APTs are not smash and grab attack. Okay, what is a smash and grab? Smash and grab, basically, if I were to take an example, like if you want to rob a kedai emas, a jewelry store, you go in, you smash the glasses, and then you grab everything you can, you run. That's a smash and grab. You don't think a lot, okay? So APTs are not smash and grabs. They are carefully planned campaigns that can last months or years. So defense requires layered security, monitoring, intrusion detection, patching, and of course, employee awareness. So malware propagation, it can move through removable media, documents, internet downloads, network connection, email attachments, drive-by downloads, pop-ups, malicious advertisements. It can go through any of these or all of this. So removable media, USB drives, CDs, external hard drives, and documents and executable malware can be embedded into Word, Excel documents or any .exe files. Okay. Internet downloads, freeware, cracked software, fake installers. This is a lot, cracked software. Or local or wide network. And then email attachments. We explained this before, so you can just read this later. So these are a table, okay, about the source of the malware, how the infection happens, and the example of the malware itself. Okay, so there you go. So these are some of the malware propagation methods. We explained this already before, so I do not need to explain this again. Okay. Social engineering. Social engineering works by tricking the users. The attacker manipulates human trust instead of hacking machines. It's easier to hack, quote unquote, hack human beings rather than hacking machines. Some people are blinded by money. Some people are blinded by the joys of life or whatever that is. And then some people are blinded by power. So people can be easily blinded and tricked into doing something that they shouldn't. It could be psychological, where you exploit curiosity and fear and urgency and greed. This is usually happening when you see there's a new intern in the company. Okay, that intern looks like a timid person. So you know the intern's name, you know the structure, because you're learning social engineering. You learn about whatever is happening to the people, and then you make a call. Okay, nearing the end of the day, let's say at 4:50, call them and say, I am the secretary of the CEO. They want this file fast, and they haven't sent it to me, and then the CEO is mad, and people are going to be, and you are going to get fired. And this guy is like, oh my God, and then he couldn't think straight. So this person on the phone says, they need this file, A, B, and C, and then he gives them the file. Turns out he has been giving information. So they go by psychological, exploit the fear, exploit urgency. Okay, persuading, convincing victims to click, download, or share sensitive data. There was a research survey done in the UK. Okay, what they did was they went around like a square. A square is where there's a lot of shops and people go shopping, whatever. So they go to the square and then they just see people and can you tell me your password? I'll give you a chocolate. A lot of people give up their password for chocolates. Now, we might think, I'm sure within the people who gave the password for chocolates, there are people who just give whatever password, right? Whatever password. So people are like that. They sometimes can be easily persuaded. Impersonating, pretending to be someone trusted. So that is social engineering. These days, there's so much that we know they are wrong. We are calling from the Mahkamah Tinggi of whatever, you have to trust. Those kind of things. Okay, so you can think of social engineering like a con artist tricking people. So there is spam, junk flyers with hidden scams in them. Okay, they look, oh, this is so good, and then you click on it and ta-da, you're dead. And then Trojan horse, a gift horse with poison inside, mobile Trojan, a fake app that looks fun but spies on you. Okay, so these are the different types of things that can happen. Malicious payload. Payload is what is in there. What can it do? It can be destruction of data. It corrupts or encrypt files like ransomware. It encrypts files, may be deleted, altered, locked permanently. And the impact of data destruction is loss of critical data, disruption of business operations. And usually this leads to money. You lost a lot of money. The company lost a lot of money. It loses the client because the clients don't trust them anymore. Then there is logic bomb. Okay, malicious code hidden in software, waiting for a trigger condition. A logic bomb, the triggers can be the date, a time, a present or absence of a certain file. So let's say a date. Okay. Every Christmas, it will attack, for example. Although that is not a very good logic bomb. Why? Because Christmas people don't go to work, so they don't go to work. The PCs are not open. If it triggers on doing that, it's not going to work. But example, okay? Once triggered, the payload explodes, deleting the files or corrupting the system or causing other damage. So it starts by the logic bomb and then it goes up to the data destruction, okay? It's hard to detect until it activates because we do not know what it does. Real world damage. Malware can target physical equipment by attacking industrial control system. For example, the Stuxnet worm sabotaged centrifuges in nuclear facilities by manipulating control. Now, centrifuges ni, if my knowledge for nuclear is correct, that's where the power is. If it goes very hot and then it can explode. All right. So the impact here goes beyond computers. It can damage machines, factories, infrastructure. Because these machines, factories, infrastructure are controlled by software, right? So it can be manipulated to do something bad. The concern here is the sophisticated malware can be used for industrial sabotage or cyber warfare. There you go. So malicious payload, they could be for data destruction, system component, corruption, as we see just now. Okay, let's look at agents. Bots are agents. Botnet is a lot of agents. Okay, so bot takes over another internet attached computer and uses that computer to launch and manage attacks. Botnet is a lot of these bots. Okay, so the difference between a bot and a worm propagates itself and activates itself. A bot is controlled by a master. Who is mad at a tool, but it is controlled by a master. There is a payload to get credentials, to get information. So keylogger, for example, it captures keystroke to allow attacker to monitor sensitive information. Spyware, monitor history and content of browsing activity, redirect certain web page requests to fixed sites, dynamically modifies data exchange between the browser and certain website. So this is information tab. Also in that is the identity tab, also where phishing can be used for information tab and identity tab. It exploits social engineering to leverage users' trust by masquerading as communication from a trusted source. So you open, there's a message from your bank, Maybank, CIMB Bank, whatever bank you use, and then it says you need to, there is what they call? Anomaly in your transactions, and we need you to confirm this thing. And it's about, so you start sweating because it's like, what, how much money is that? And then you click on it, it asks for your username, password. You give it because the site looks like your bank. And then suddenly it's, oh, and then you have to put in your username and password again, because the first one was the phishing site. The second one was the real site. Okay, so they are getting your information. Spear phishing, this is a phishing variant. I think the original was phishing, and then there is the spear phishing. There is a lot, if you look at the phishing, there is a lot of variant. Okay, there is whaling, smishing, there's a lot. It would be great for you to explore that. Recipients are carefully researched in spear phishing. Okay, spear phishing is you have a spear and you attack one fish, specific fish. So here, recipients are carefully researched by attacker, is crafted to specifically suit its recipient, often quoting a range of information to convince him, that recipient, of its authenticity. So they are targeting specific people in spear phishing. Then there is stealthing. Stealthing means you are hiding. Okay, if you are a army man and you are in the forest, you use your camouflage, your camo, so people don't see you when you are among the bushes and the trees. So that's stealthing. So backdoor or trapdoor is a secret entry point into a program, allowing the attacker to gain access and bypass the security access procedures. It can be implemented as a network service listening, okay, on some standard, non-standard port that the attacker can connect to and issue commands to be run on the compromised system. So it's sort of like having a specific port for him to just come into your system and do whatever. Rootkit, a set of hidden programs installed on a system to maintain covert access to that system. It hides itself from detection, stealthing, and it gives root privileges to attacker. That's why it's called a rootkit. It's a kit to give you root privileges. It can add or change programs and files. If you have the root privilege, you can do whatever you want to the system. Okay, so you have the power to change things. So you can do whatever. Add, change programs, monitor process, send, receive network traffic, get backdoor access of things, whatever you want to do. Imagine if you have a root kit and then you get to the root, you become the super user in the e-learning. Now you can set whatever. You can set that every time Mrs. Zina comes in, whatever she types, it doesn't come out. Or it goes into, she types today, she looks at it, the file is there, and then at the end of the day, everything is deleted. You can do that. I'm not telling you to do that, but as a root, as a super user, you can do a lot of things. Okay, so many things there. Okay, now let's look at countermeasures. You can read this for more information. Okay, prevention can be Policy, access control. How do you prevent this from happening? Okay, policy, access control, training, that falls under prevention. Detections. Once the infection has occurred, determine that it has occurred and locate. Imagine that the malware is going and you cannot detect the malware. You do not know that there is a malware running wild. So detection is important. Then identification. Why do you need to identify? Because once you identify the specific malware, you can remove that malware. And then you can put in policies or configurations to make sure that it doesn't come back again. Okay, or update your antivirus so that the virus doesn't come back again. Those kind of things. Okay, these are the countermeasures. So prevention approach, policy, access control, awareness, vulnerability mitigation, threat mitigation. So you need to know what it is so that you can stop it. Detection, malware can be detected via signature-based, okay, or heuristic-based, meaning signature is everything has a signature. So you can, if it looks like it, if it's a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So that's a signature of a duck, for example, okay? Then there is also the anomaly-based detection, meaning something is not normal. So if it is an office and everybody goes back at 5 and suddenly there are things working at 8 p.m., which is abnormal. So that's anomaly-based detection. Host-based versus network-based scanner. So you can scan the network or you can scan the host machine. Ingress and egress monitors. Ingress means input. Egress means exit. Okay. So you monitor the things that are coming in. You monitor the things that are going out. This is a class exercise. You go into Virus Total, okay, and inspect items with over 70 antivirus scanners. Just go there, explore the Virus Total. It's free. Just go in there and explore. Okay, the next thing we will do is denial of service. Do you have any questions? Let me check in the chat. Oh, okay. No questions? Is there anybody here? I'm missing about 3 people.
No, Doctor.
Okay, all right. I'm going to give you a 5-minute break and then we're going to come back and we are going to look at denial of service. All right. And please remind me to update your malware files on e-learning because the ones I gave you were old ones. Okay, stop this 5 minutes, isn't it? Come back in 10:20.